If you know all 15 of these English expressions, then your English is probably a lot better than you think it is. Today, I'm going to test your English fluency by seeing how familiar you are with these 15 English expressions. Now, to break it down, for this quiz, 5 of the expressions will be beginner leveled expressions at the A1 to A2 levels of English. 5 will be intermediate leveled, and 5 will be advanced English expressions at the C1 to C2 levels of English. In this quiz, you're going to first see how these English expressions are actually used in context. Afterwards, I'm going to give you 5 seconds to take your best guess at what they mean. This is going to improve your English listening skills a ton because it will force you to critically think and guess what these expressions mean based on the context by which they are delivered. Now, whatever you do throughout this quiz, do not, I repeat, do not make the very common mistake of believing that an English expression can only have one meaning. More often than not, English expressions can have multiple different meanings. In addition, I've helped many people become fluent in English over the years, and I've created a longer English level test. If you want to take that to see what your current level of English is, I will leave a link somewhere in the description below or the pinned comment. The first expression is a popular one, and that is "what's up?"
What's up?
Hey, what's up, brother?
What's up?
What's up?
What's up?
Now I'll give you 5 seconds to tell me what you think "what's up" means. Now, generally speaking, "what's up" is a greeting to start a conversation. But "what's up" is also a way of checking in on someone. In other words, "what's up" can be used in many different ways. For example, instead of saying hello, you can just say "what's up?" Instead of saying "how are you?" you could say "what's up?" Instead of saying "is there something wrong?" you could say "what's up?" So while this may seem simple because it's a popular expression, keep in mind all of the different ways that you can actually use "what's up." Now, the next expression is "hang on."
Carrie, hang on a second.
Oh, hang on a second. Hang on a minute.
Hang on, let me check.
Let's sit still and hang on. Okay.
Now, I want you to tell me what you think "hang on" means. The expression "hang on" is a way to tell somebody to wait a moment. Try not to confuse this with literally hanging on to something, like I'm hanging on to the microphone.
Hang on to your turban, kid.
Now, the next expression is also popular, and you should have heard of it, and that is "no big deal."
All this time I've been worrying about it, but if you turn on the lights, it's no big deal.
Rear view camera, no big deal.
It's no big deal.
Nowadays, that's no big deal.
I mean, it's no big deal.
What do you think "no big deal" means? No big deal is an expression used to say that something is not a problem or it's not important. However, similar to the expression "what's up," no big deal can be used in a lot of different ways that are tangible or intangible. For example, if I spilt a glass of water, I could say, "Oh, it's no big deal. I'll just clean it up." Or if it's something more intangible, such as "I'm in a bad mood, but it's no big deal. I'll feel better tomorrow." So even though this is a beginner expression, keep in mind all of the different ways that you can actually apply it. The next expression is also pretty popular, and that is "not a fan."
I know you said you're not a fan of the sea, but you swam from all the way over there.
Not a fan of talking, no.
No, I'm not a fan of violence against women.
I have to tell you, not a fan of that Tony Stark.
Now tell me, based on the context of those clips, what do you think "not a fan" means? As an expression, if you are not a fan of something, it simply means that you do not like something. This can be used as more of an expression if you're talking about something like the weather, if you're not a fan of the weather in the city that you live in. But this could also be used literally if you are not a fan of Cristiano Ronaldo, or if you are not a fan of Lionel Messi, the soccer players. But with this expression, feel free to use it in almost any scenario when there is ever something that you do not like. The next expression and the last beginner expression that I'll show you is you bet.
You bet I do.
Oh, you bet I am.
You bet.
You bet, sweetheart.
You bet we are, and I can't talk to you now.
What do you think you bet means? The expression you bet is just another way of saying sure or of course. Do not confuse this with someone who is literally betting at a casino or something like that. You can look at the expression you bet just as another way of saying yes, sure, or okay. Now, the next expression, which may seem easy, but it is really a B1 leveled expression, would be take care.
Take care. Okay, take care.
Take care now.
Take care.
Take care.
Now, I want you to tell me, what do you think the expression take care means? Generally speaking, the expression take care is just a friendly way of saying goodbye. Now, it does have some other meanings. The expression take care also has a connotation of showing concern for somebody's well-being. Take care can also be referring to telling somebody to stay safe, not just goodbye. You can also look at the expression take care as another way of saying be careful. So in a sense, it means goodbye while also saying be careful or stay safe, all at the same time in one expression. The next B1 leveled expression is come on.
Come on, just a little one.
Come on, you know that.
Oh, come on. Come on, Z.
Tom, don't. Come on, Tom. Please, please, please.
Now, what do you think the expression come on means? The expression come on is an expression used to express frustration or disbelief. But come on can also mean very different things in different contexts as well. Come on could be a way to encourage someone to keep going or to try harder. This expression is often used with this meaning in the context of sports. Come on can also be used as a casual way to tell somebody to hurry up or go faster. For example, if you're ready to go outside, but you're waiting for your friend to get ready, you could say, come on, hurry up. So although the expression come on is popular, be mindful of the 3 different ways that you can apply this in different situations. Now let's see if you know this B2 leveled English expression, and that is the ball is in your court.
Well, I guess the ball is in your court for the next 2 minutes.
Ball is in your court.
To everyone watching right now, the ball is in your court.
The ball is in your court.
The ball's in your court, Mr. McCloy.
What do you think that this expression means? The ball is in your court simply means that it's your turn to make a decision, or it's your turn to make a certain action. 99% of the time, this expression is used metaphorically or figuratively. It is not used literally, as if there was literally a ball in another person's court. That kind of makes this expression nice because it is a lot less ambiguous as the other expressions we just went over. Now, the next expression is to bite the bullet.
But I've had to bite the bullet, and I'm calling it quits.
It's time to bite the bullet.
We bite the bullet here in Cambodia.
I'm afraid we'll just have to bite the bullet on this thing, Clive.
Now, what do you think it means to bite the bullet? Now, generally, the expression to bite the bullet means to do something that you do not want to do, but you know that you have to do. Now, this expression can be used in a tangible way or an intangible way. For example, the weather is really bad outside, but I ran out of food. So I'm going to need to bite the bullet, go outside, and walk to the grocery store. That would be a tangible example of biting the bullet. A more intangible way of biting the bullet would be if I'm in a bad mood today, but I'll just need to bite the bullet and wait until I'm in a better mood later on another day. The expression bite the bullet generally only has one meaning, so you can really apply it to almost any situation where you need to do something that you do not really want to do. The next expression is out of the blue.
Out of the blue, for the first time in my life, somebody's in love with me.
No, but
You always contacted me out of the blue.
And then one day, out of the blue, he walks in and he tells me I'm making a big mistake.
Out of the blue, there's this weird shot.
Now, what do you think the expression out of the blue means? If something happened out of the blue, it means that it happened unexpectedly, suddenly, or just completely randomly. Now, just keep in mind that if something happens out of the blue, it does not necessarily have a positive or negative connotation to it. Good things can happen out of the blue, and bad things can happen out of the blue. Even neutral things that aren't good or bad can happen out of the blue. It simply just means that something happened randomly or something happened suddenly. Now, I would classify this next expression as a C1 leveled expression, and that is the tip of the iceberg.
Success is just the tip of the iceberg, man.
it's just the tip of the iceberg.
That might just be the tip of the iceberg.
What you can do now, Victor. Your physical strength is just the tip of the iceberg.
What do you think the expression the tip of the iceberg is referring to? The tip of the iceberg is referring to a small issue that represents a much larger problem. So, for example, you having bad study habits is just the tip of the iceberg for all the other problems that you're going to encounter later in your life. Keep in mind that this expression usually has a negative connotation. This expression is rarely, if ever, used in a positive way. Now, another C1 leveled expression would be a dime a dozen.
Those places are a dime a dozen.
Your kind come a dime a dozen.
And those guys are a dime a dozen.
Philip's skanky ex-girlfriends are a dime a dozen.
Now, what do you think a dime a dozen is referring to? Now, a dime a dozen just simply means something that is very common. It's usually referring to something that is so common that it is ubiquitous, meaning that it is everywhere. Similar to the last expression, a dime a dozen usually has a negative connotation. It can sometimes have a positive connotation if you're saying something like, iPhones are a dime a dozen. They're everywhere. They're ubiquitous. That's not necessarily a bad thing. However, the expression a dime a dozen is usually used to describe something that is common in the sense that it is not that valuable. It's easy to obtain. It's not special. Now, if you're familiar with these next three expressions, then your English is truly incredible. And like I said at the beginning of this video, your English is probably a lot better than you think it is if you are very familiar with all three of these next expressions. First one would be the whole nine, or the whole 9 yards.
Cooking classes, yoga, wine tasting, the whole 9 yards.
Yes, and garlands and wreaths and bows, the whole 9 yards.
You be on probation, see a court-ordered shrink, the whole 9 yards.
What do you think the whole nine or the whole 9 yards means? Now, if you went the whole 9 yards, it simply means that you expressed everything that is possible or everything that was available. It's another way of saying you went all the way on something that you set out to do or something that you set out to say, organize, etc. Now, feel free to use the expression the whole 9 yards with almost anything that you could be talking about. This can be tangible or this could be intangible. For example, they went the whole 9 yards and cooked chicken, broccoli, fish, and asparagus. Or they went the whole 9 yards and worked all day and night on their project. Or they went the whole 9 yards and got someone a birthday cake and threw them a surprise party for their birthday. This is a pretty flexible expression that you can use with almost anything that I can think of. It's essentially another way to say that you went above and beyond to do everything in your power to do something, or to say something, or to organize something. You understand, you get the picture. The next C2 expression would be a ballpark, or a ballpark figure.
Give me a ballpark figure.
It's just a ballpark figure,
That's a ballpark figure.
How about a ballpark figure?
Give me a ballpark figure.
Now, what do you think a ballpark is referring to? A ballpark or a ballpark figure is simply just referring to an estimation or an approximation of something. So the expression a ballpark can take many different forms and can be used for almost anything I can think of as well. For example, could you give me a ballpark on when you think we're going to leave the house today? Could you give me a ballpark on when you think this project will be finished? Could you give me a ballpark on when you think you will be fluent in English? Could you give me a ballpark on when you want to meet up tonight? You can use this for almost any situation just to express a rough estimate, a rough approximation, just to get somewhat of an idea of something. So have fun with this one. And the final expression we'll look at today that I would say is a C2 expression would be the 11th hour.
They stepped in at the 11th hour.
So don't come here at the 11th hour.
We got a donor at the 11th hour, and I got the last plane ticket.
He called me at the 11th hour.
Why are you telling me now at the 11th hour?
So what do you think at the 11th hour is referring to? To do something at the 11th hour simply just means to do something at the last minute or at the last possible moment just before it is too late. And do not confuse this expression with the literal meaning of the 11th hour, as in 11 o'clock p.m. It's referring to the last minute in any situation, whether it's at 11:59 p.m. or not. For example, the exam is in 1 hour, and now he is studying at the 11th hour to prepare. His meeting starts in 5 minutes, and now he is preparing at the 11th hour. He needs to go to her house in 20 minutes, but it is a 2-hour drive. He's now getting in his car and making his way there at the 11th hour. Now, tell me in the comments, how many of these 15 expressions were you familiar with? I'm curious to know. In addition, if you got any value or learned something new from this video, please like the video to let the YouTube algorithm know that you like this type of content. So if you're trying to advance your speaking skills in English, then these 15 expressions are definitely expressions that you could probably use almost every day. Keep in mind, if you want to be a good speaker in English, you actually don't need that much English vocabulary overall. The 200 most common words in English cover approximately 80% of the language that is spoken. If you want to know what those 200 English words are, then definitely check out the next video.